Coming out of the bye week, what have the Denver Broncos learned? How have they grown? How have they changed? Will they change, or will be more of the same? Orange and Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason here to talk about your Denver Broncos and taking on the Tennessee Titans, traveling to beautiful Nashville, Mace. And what did they learn? We're going to get into the jersey thing in just a little bit, but do you anticipate that we'll see some changes, like actual change from this Broncos team? That's assuming rational coaching. It's always a very dangerous assumption, Mace.
I think the degree of the changes may be limited in part because of KJ Hamler being unavailable for this game. I think maybe what some of the things that they wanted to do, some of the things that they hope to do, probably could be put a little bit on ice, just because you're not going to be able to go vertically in quite the same way that they'd hope. So I think there'll be some changes. I just don't know if they're going to be all the changes everybody has hoped for.
Yeah, all the changes that everybody's hoped for, and then some. But more Greg Dulcich, more Jerry Jeudy. I just wrote my game plan, which will be available soon at denverfan.com. And when you look at this team, and you and I have talked about it, like the pieces are there.
Yeah,
the pieces are there. Like, you just put it together, you get some consistency, you get some better coaching, and you've got a team that can go up against a good Tennessee team. Tennessee may be one-armed or one-handed or whatever you want to call, because all they do is Derrick Henry. Fine, whatever, we'll talk about it. But you know what? That's a good team that can hang with anybody in the league, and the Broncos have the pieces and the capability of beating this team.
It's a good team. It's also on defense right now, as I'm trying to get for some reason my mic stand isn't working today.
You're like Nikola Jokic at the press conference, right?
Yeah, like the mic stand. Like I think I need a new clip. Like, this thing is not holding the mic. It's a good team, but it's going to be a limited team defensively, being without Jeffrey Simmons, being without Bud Dupree, being without Zach Cunningham in the front seven. They're going to be struggling a little bit, and that's why I kind of look at what the Titans are without in terms of their pass, not only their pass rush, but also defending the run. I think, all right, if you're going to lose the vertical stretch element of KJ Hamler, if they're going to be compromised up the middle, you know what? I'm trying to run the ball. I'm trying to run the ball frequently in this game. It may not be sexy, but it might be the best way to win.
And here's the thing. You mentioned Zach Cunningham. I so wanted the Broncos to take him. Like, so much wanted him to be a part of the Denver Broncos, because, man alive, you're talking about a heat-seeking missile against the run, a very intelligent player that you can't trick, you can't fool. He's not going to be fooled by play-action fakes. He's not going to be fooled by the quarterback's eyes. He's not going to be fooled by any sort of juke move from the running back. He's going to find you in the hole, and he's going to blow the play up. So without him on the field, it even emphasizes more we should see running of the ball.
By the way, we'll probably see a fair amount of old friend DeMarcus Walker in this game too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. DeMarcus Walker.
Everyone
blast from the past.
Not too distant past, but yeah. I mean, it's I'll say this for DeMarcus Walker. I always thought the Broncos did him wrong.
Oh, yes.
They did him wrong by telling him to drop the weight, then put the weight back on. He's actually a pretty effective pass rusher when you really kind of break him down.
Yes.
Frankly, I wanted the Broncos to re-sign him when his contract expired and kind of give him a fresh start, but they chose not to. Maybe it was for the best for all, but you'll probably see him, and he's going to be looking to make sure his name gets called at some point on Sunday.
Revenge game for DeMarcus Walker, who they did the same thing to Justin Hollins.
Yeah.
I was worried they were going to do it to Baron Browning. I was like, stop screwing up these players. Like, stop it. So Walker, and then, of course, Justin Hollins, and Baron Browning seems to be saved, although he's probably not going to play. And you and I are looking for pass rushers out at practice today.
Yeah, because only 3 of them were in uniform, and that's kind of the story of the day. You had the McLeod, the new guy on the practice squad. You had Jonathan Cooper, and you had Jacob Martin acquired in a trade last week. You didn't have Nick Benito. You didn't have Jonathan Kongbo. You're not going to have Baron Browning. Hip issue. He's already been ruled out for the game. Benito is questionable. He's got the illness that's floating around. That Nathaniel Hackett wouldn't say whether it was COVID or not. Although Orlando Franklin made a great point when I was just on the air a few minutes ago. If you were worried about COVID, why would you practice inside?
Right.
So
right.
That's to me a sign that it's not COVID. That might be something else. Maybe it's a stomach bug. Maybe something bad in the cafeteria. But what is interesting is that Darius Phillips, he was the first player to have this illness. He had it yesterday. He wasn't practicing today as well, and he too is questionable. And then you had Benito, who went on, who was out today, and then you had Kendall Hinton, who was out today. So we're kind of figuring out, okay, who's going to be ready, who's not going to be ready. Right. I mean, right now, if Benito's not ready, then I mean, you're really up a creek at edge rusher right now. You think about it. If Benito can't play, you're potentially talking about McLeod and Jacob Martin and Jonathan Cooper,
and that's it.
And
maybe Alex Singleton playing more.
Yeah, maybe you bounce him outside. Maybe you bounce Jonas Griffith out to edge a little bit. But you're talking about potentially 2 out of 3 guys if Benito can't go, who literally were not on this team 2 weeks ago.
Problems for the Broncos.
Yes.
And it's been around the league, Mace. I won't get too deep into this, but it's been around the league. Like there's sometimes a flu bug going around, like the flu still exists. And so that kind of stuff equals out. And Orlando's right. If it was COVID, and hopefully YouTube doesn't demonetize us for saying the C word, but like, hopefully it's not that because they wouldn't practice indoors. But I'm going to ask you this because you and I were both out there. The hell did you practice indoors today? Like it was cool to be sure, but the sun was out. So when you were standing in the sun, I was standing at the gate because I didn't know. I'm not on the inside track like you, Mace. Although we both have keys to the building, and my keys still work, so I was happy today. I was like, "Oh, good, it still works." All right, they haven't cut me off yet being the operative word. But like, I was standing outside at the gate, waiting around with D-Mac and Cody Rourke, and before we knew practice was inside, I was like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine." But they practice inside. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It was sunny and 35 degrees. As I checked on the little weather app on the phone. That's perfectly fine. I mean, maybe Nathaniel Hackett saw the temperature and said, oh, let's go inside. But look, he was just in Wisconsin and Green Bay the last couple of years. 35 degrees in Colorado is not 35 degrees in Wisconsin. Okay, 35 degrees in Wisconsin, yeah, you're going inside. It's pretty miserable. If it's 35 degrees in Nashville, that's going to be kind of miserable too. Yeah. Because you go east and you've got... You're not near the water, but you got humidity kicking in, right? I mean, and Nashville's by the river. That's nothing. Green Bay's by, not too far from Lake Michigan. But in either case, it's just more humid in that part of the country and it cuts through you. So I think we're looking at a kickoff temperature of about 42 to 46 degrees on Sunday in Nashville. It's probably going to feel about the same as the 35-degree day in Denver. So that's another reason you're going to be playing in the cold on Sunday. Why don't you get ready for it, right? Why don't you practice in that? The answer Nathaniel Hackett gave was that he thought, they'd have a crisp practice indoors, but it's, I'm sorry. I just wasn't buying it. Just if you feel like you went inside just because you didn't want to practice on a 35-degree day and you just wanted to have a warmer day, just say it. That's right. That's okay. Or and this is the rationalization a lot of teams use. They say we practice inside rather than outside because we want to practice kind of getting everything right timing wise without the element of surprise from the elements that can be provided. So, okay, I would have bought that even though you and I, having both been in Colorado a long time, understand that a 35-degree day with no wind in Denver is actually a pretty fabulous day to do things outside. I mean, it's a pretty fabulous day to take a hike, I think.
Yeah, it's great day to be in Colorado. And well, I was just shocked that we didn't see them practice outdoors. Whatever is whatever. We did see them practice. We do see them prepare for this team with Derrick Henry, with Ryan Tannehill. Looks like Traylon Burks is back. So before we get into the uniform thing, let's talk about who's returning. We know who's not going to play for Tennessee, but we also have a good idea who's going to be out there. I think Burks is probably the only questionable one because it's going to be Tannehill. Obviously, Henry, even though he's dealing with a foot injury, he's coming off a 5-game streak of 100 yards.
Well, and with Henry, they didn't even list him as questionable. So he's playing in this game. The thing with Tannehill is he throttled back from full to limited today. So that's kind of what's casting any doubt. So you wonder, all right, did he wake up this morning not feeling quite right? Sometimes the first time you push after an injury, The next day you wake up, it's swollen, it's sore, whatever, but he was out there today. I would expect Ryan Tannehill to play. And even if he doesn't start, I think he's going to be in uniform. I could see a scenario where if they're really concerned about Tannehill, I could see the Titans starting Willis, but having Tannehill ready to go on a moment's notice. That's the one thing that I could see kind of changing things. But in general, I would, if I had to bet on an outcome, I'd say expect Ryan Tannehill to play this game.
Expect Ryan Tannehill to play. And how much of his legs are going to be a factor? Because he's battling an ankle injury, and we know he's a runner. We know that he can extend plays, and he can even attack you as a runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the people who are like, he's converted wide receiver. Well, he was a quarterback. They had wide receiver injuries at Texas A&M. He played wide receiver. He was pretty good. And then he went back to quarterback. So that's a little bit overblown when they're like, he's converted wide receiver. Well, he was a quarterback, to be sure.
This is his, I believe, his 11th season in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay. As a quarterback.
Yeah.
That does not matter anymore.
Right. People are crazy, but people bring up the legs, and I'm going to ask you about the legs because, he's an ankle injury. If he's even a little bit gimpy, that's an advantage Broncos because, Tannehill does use his legs. I'm not going to say he relies on them, but he can take off and scoot if he needs to.
It's part of his game, and it's part of what makes him effective. But not only that, but the ability to buy time in the pocket. And so he's going to be limited by that, no doubt. And we'll see if his accuracy is compromised in any way because of the injury. That's another thing to consider. So This is not going to be 100% Ryan Tannehill, but if he plays, then, and I think this is a logical move, the Titans are deciding that 70% Ryan Tannehill is better than 100% Malik Willis. And I think based on what we saw the last couple of weeks, that's obvious. The Titans literally did not even average 50 passing yards per game in Malik Willis's 2 starts.
None of their wide receivers caught a pass in a 2017 overtime loss to the Chiefs. No wide receiver for the Titans caught a pass in a game that they were in with Malik Willis completing 5 passes?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think even in the Tebow 2 for 8 game in Kansas City,
wasn't Decker one of those 2?
Eric Decker had a touchdown catch. Right. I mean, that's kind of where you are with Malik Willis and the Titans right now. I mean, it just and as Cristiano says, 50% of Tannehill is better than 100% of Malik Willis. Yeah. I mean, but I figure Tannehill is probably about 70%, maybe 75 for this game.
Right.
That's more than enough to go out there. Frankly, Cecil, I think if it had been a playoff game last week, Tannehill would have played.
Right. And this week at home, had some rest, Tannehill back out there, Derrick Henry there, and then, Traylon Burks, Pat Surtain will wipe him out. Honestly, I would rather see Pat Surtain against Robert Woods because Woods is the veteran, and he's kind of savvy, and that veteran savvy could get open against Damari Mathis. Again, something you and I talked about at practice today.
Yeah, rookie on rookie, I think is what you're looking for, and frankly, Mathis has done a bit more than Burks to this point, even though Mathis has only the 4th round pedigree and Burks is the 1st round pedigree. So that's the matchup that I like, and I actually think Damari has an advantage if they put him out there against Burks.
He's very feisty. He does not back down from the physicality that Burks will try to bring to the field.
Yeah, If you're the Titans, there aren't a lot of favorable pass catching matchups in this game for them. Really, there is not. So
unless they want to break out Chiggy Okonkwo, one of my favorite tight ends from this class, love getting Chiggy with it. So and he's had a touchdown or 2 this year.
Yeah, that might be their best shot because that's where you say, okay, Broncos potentially severely compromised at outside linebacker right now. And you're going to be dropping those guys into coverage from time to time. And that's also where Jonas Griffith has had trouble in coverage this year.
Right. And Chiggy was at the Shrine game, right? We saw him in Vegas.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
So that if you're kind of looking at, all right, what's a matchup to exploit for the Titans? That's where I'm going. I'm trying to attack with the tight ends because I don't see either receiver on corner matchup being something that's going to favor them at all.
Okay, let's go through the questions, the survey that was
Oh,
sent out
survey
to
says.
Broncos season ticket holders. Survey says, no whammy, stop. Oh, wait, wrong. I'm confusing game shows.
You're mixing up your game shows here. Yeah, not just season ticket holders. I found out there. I've had people reach out to me and say people who aren't season ticket holders were also
What, people on the waiting list or something? Or
I
what?
think maybe the waiting list, but also I think fans from overseas that are on kind of their international mailers, their international fan lists have been included in this, which is fair. You know what? Because I don't think you want to confine yourself to the local part of Broncos country here.
Right.
So, as we saw in London, it's a pretty widespread fan base in all pockets of the globe, and so you want to incorporate everybody. But yes, a survey was sent to these fans today, all about Broncos uniforms. Now, we're not going to do the questions about some of the 19 questions are like gender. What state are you in? What's your zip code? Blah, blah, blah. But we're going to go through the relevant questions here and ask a couple of people who've been around this team a long time what they think. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Number one, which sentiment best describes your feelings on the following statement? The uniforms worn by the Denver Broncos are important to me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Me too.
1000%.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah. And, in this era where players change, coaches change rapidly, the uniform, it's, as I've pointed out, it's something that is a core part of your team identity, of your franchise identity.
It's your identifier. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. All right. Number two, should the Denver Broncos introduce a new uniform set? Yes or no?
Yes. 1000%.
Yes, I vote for that as well. And I actually put this question, I put a few of the questions out on Twitter today. 89% of the people answering on Twitter said yes.
I want to talk to those 11% because they're wrong.
Somebody who actually really likes the current uniforms? Raj, our fearless leader.
Yes. Raj Kumar. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Number three, which uniform design do you most prefer? And then we're going to get into more designs later, but there were three choices given. A classic throwback design, a modern future-forward design, or a hybrid design with classic and modern elements?
Hybrid would be my favorite. Honestly, I think they need all three, and that's a different conversation. But just answering the question, I would say hybrid.
Yeah, I would actually say hybrid as well. And I think what is interesting is the Broncos asked a similar question on their own Twitter feed. And it is the classic and modern elements that is winning, followed by classic throwback design. If you put those together, you're talking about, I think, about 86% of the people voting for that. And that's kind of where I fall. Maybe a tweaked logo. But in general, it's basically what the Chargers did. The Chargers, there are throwback elements, the numbers on the helmets, going back to powder blue as the primary jersey color. But it's modern. It's sleek. They kind of took some of the clunkier elements of previous uniforms off of it and just generally streamlined it a little bit. And then they had a modern font for the numbers. That, if I were betting on an outcome, Cecil, that's what I would bet on as the needle the Broncos eventually try to thread.
It's the one that kind of, you can't please everyone all the time, but that kind of serves both masters, so to speak. Like the people that want the new uniforms, the people that want to stick with the old, like, well, you get to do both with a hybrid, and it can be a really good look. It really can be. I wouldn't mind a future forward look though, Mace, because this is new ownership. It is a new direction. It is, the Russell Wilson era. And I wouldn't mind if that had its own signature stamp. And then the hybrids would be the, every other week jersey or something like that.
Yeah. The thing is, though, based on what we've seen from the results of the Broncos Twitter poll, that doesn't sound like what very many people want is future forward. So, and I think the thing is, they had future forward with this. Future forward becomes dated and passé pretty quickly. That's why I tend to kind of shudder at that element. So,
okay, what's our other questions then?
Let's go. The Broncos' primary jersey color at home should be orange or navy blue.
Orange.
Orange. It's the team's identity, no question. All right. Now they show different uniforms from the team's era. And so they go through the original brown and yellow, the Bucking Bronco uniforms with the blue sleeve and orange jersey from the mid-'60s, the classic D uniform with some tweaks from 68 to 96, the primary navy blue, 97 to 2011, now a third uniform, and primary orange for the current. And ask 1 to 5, like 1 to 5. 1's your favorite, 5 is your least favorite. So how would you rank those 5 uniforms?
Actually, it would be the 2 in the middle. It would be the Buck and Bronco one, the orange with the blue sleeves. Although somebody said on coffee break, that's how they got the nickname the Donkeys. I'm like, well, I don't care. I just love the way it looks. Plus, it reminds me of the 75th anniversary jerseys, which Terrell Davis did not have one, by the way. That was 1994. And
thank you.
It makes me so angry as a jersey snob when I see the fake ass jersey of Terrell Davis in the 75th anniversary uniform. He was still at Georgia.
Yeah,
okay, the Steve Atwater one's correct. The Elway one's correct. I think the Mecklenburg one might.
Mecklenburg, you see a lot of. Yes,
yeah, those are correct.
Yeah.
Even if they're fake, they're still correct. Terrell Davis was still in college in '94.
Yeah, that.
Sorry for yelling.
No, that's okay. So mine, I've got my favorite. I honestly have that one is number 1. The Bucking Bronco one. I love the contrasting sleeves. I think that's lovely.
Yes. Yep.
Followed by the old school orange, 68 to 96.
Yep.
Followed by primary orange, followed by primary navy blue, followed by brown and yellow. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway. All right. The Broncos have had basically 4 helmets in their history. This is question number 6. Rank them 1 through 4. So you've got the original brown with a number on it, the Bucking Bronco orange one, the D, and the current Horsehead.
Yeah, the D, number 1, Bucking Bronco 2, Horsehead 3, numbers 4.
Okay. I've got D1, Horsehead 2, Bucking Bronco 3. It's just kind of a crazy logo. Like, it's cute, but
you got to kind of look at it to know what it is. It's like a Rorschach test, right?
It looks to me like the horse is sneezing. I mean, and then the original brown. That's just an ugly helmet.
Yeah, that's
all right. Current Denver Broncos jerseys: road white, alternate navy, primary orange, color rush orange. Rank them 1 to 4.
Color rush orange would be a little bit higher, but not with orange pants. I don't know if it's on the list, and I'm totally messing up.
But we're only ranking jerseys here. We're only ranking jerseys,
not pants. Okay, because I wanted to bring back orange pants with white tops. They only did that for like a year or 2. So for me, it's like probably color rush a little bit higher, orange number 1, and then blue 3rd and white 4th.
I've got the same order. To me, in this day and age, why are you wearing orange when you go play? Why aren't you wearing orange when you go play in Oakland or Las Vegas? I was totally off there. Las Vegas, when you're playing the Raiders and they're wearing black, you should wear orange. The Raiders should wear black when they come to Denver next week. Why not? Right? Anyway, which of the following uniform colors do you prefer? Current navy and orange, past royal blue and orange, or neither? Introduce new colors.
It's not introduce new colors. That's for sure. And I don't mind the older blue. So
yeah,
maybe that's just me. The navy blue's fine. I don't mind it. But the
All right.
older stuff is okay. Don't change the colors. Then we don't have to change the name of the show, Mace.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Put that out there on Twitter. 70% voted for royal blue and orange. 22% for navy and orange. 8% said get new colors. What? Like we're going to do Walmart colors, blue and yellow?
Walmart needs to change their colors to orange and blue.
I like it. I like that better. All right. Which logo do you prefer for the uniform / helmets? The classic Broncos Horsehead, or the current Broncos Horsehead, the classic D, or do you want a new logo?
I want a new logo, and I want it to be a hybrid. There is the full new horse. That's the full horse and not the horse's head. And he's actually like kind of turned and bucking and rearing back. I want that in a D. So give me the new horse in a D.
See, I hate that logo because the legs are too thick.
You hate that logo?
I do. I absolutely hate that logo.
You shrink it down. He'd be cut off at the waist.
Here's the thing, and people have used that to do it in the D, and we've seen that mocked up.
Yeah.
But it's got the opposite problem of the Dean logo. The old Dean logo, the horse legs are too thin. When they do it with this bucking bronco, the horse legs are way too thick. They're cartoonishly thick. I just want, if they're going to have a horse, give me a horse that looks like an actual horse.
Of course.
Proportion. And if the name of that horse, of course, famous Mr. Ed. Yes. So on right now, 73% on Twitter on a poll I put out there said Classic D. 17% current horse said 10% want a new logo. All right. Going to skip one here, and I want to go with this. And this kind of goes into what you said, something about future forward. Fans are asked, how frequently should uniform changes be considered? Every 5 years, every 10 years, every 20 years? Because there are some out there who think that maybe the Broncos should become the Oregon of the NFL.
Yes, James Marilat suggested that this morning on Coffee
Yes.
Break. I say 10 years.
Okay.
Go 10 years. That's an era. That's enough of an era. Things change in the NFL.
Mhm.
Like, and the Broncos aren't the Steelers or the Packers or one of these classic looks. Like they have the capability of doing that. So do it every 10 years.
I agree on 10 years. Although if you've made a mistake, the 5 years is the minimum, is the minimum you can have a new uniform. If you've made a mistake, like Cleveland made a mistake, the Bucs made a mistake. As soon as they could, they changed it back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was smart on their part. Where do the Denver Broncos uniforms rank among NFL teams? Top third, middle third, bottom third.
Middle third. I'm not going to drop too much ire, except for the stupid ones they're wearing this week, like they wore in London. Like that's bottom third. But they're regular jerseys. They're middle of the pack. I don't think they're the greatest. I don't think they're the worst.
Yeah, I think it's a bottom 5 uniform.
Bottom 5.
Yes, it's bad. It's bad. It's
very dated. It's like very
that's
90s,
the thing.
Very 90s.
And you know what? A bunch of teams copied the swoosh.
Yes, they must be wearing a FUBU jersey, right? Like,
yeah,
it's very 90s. And I love the 90s. I'm stuck in the 90s, but it's old, man.
That's the problem with trying to be like too contemporary and forward thinking. When you do that, you end up with something that becomes passé. I want something that is time tested. Now, what is interesting is you go to other sports right now. Okay, soccer. In soccer, they change the kit every year. In baseball, they're doing City Connect uniforms. Rockies had the green and white license plate uniform they had. You've got reverse retro in the NHL. You've got the City Edition in the NBA. So I get why there could be, okay, let's change it up every now and then. But here's the difference. Like in the NBA, you've got 82 games a season. It takes an NFL team 5 years to get to that range of games. That's one reason why you don't want to make too many changes too often, because oh man, almost as bad as the Braves home uniform. That hurts. That hurts. That hurts.
I knew that
man.
would get you. I knew it would get you.
Oh man, boo. Although you know what? I will say this. I think they can get rid of the tomahawk. I actually think their best uniform is when they do the throwback and it's just got the script Braves on it and the number and the royal blue. I think that's actually the best one. I think tomahawk can go.
Okay.
So,
all right.
anyway,
Mace,
but yeah.
What else we got? Are we wrapped up? Are we done? Or
I mean, I think that's it. The other question that it just seemed too wordy to get to, but we can just get to really quick. What are the most important factors to you in a uniform? 1 to 5. 5 most important and 1 is least important. So here's what you've got. The factors are team colors,
5,
uniqueness of design,
4,
logo,
5,
font, style and font of number and name, and helmet design.
3 and 5.
Okay. So the logo and the helmet design starts there. Okay. Yep. All right. I mean, I'd say
you mentioned the Buccaneers. Look what the Buccaneers did. Like they have the logos fine on the helmet, but when they did the digital clock numbers, right?
Yes.
Those were awful. Those were terrible looking, and they changed them as soon as they possibly could, but they had to have them for a while because they were terrible.
Right. And I mean, they were stuck with it, but it was just, I mean, I remember like it was one of those uniforms, Cecil, where like the first day I'm like, you screwed this up.
Right.
What
XFL?
Yeah, and that's another thing. This is the NFL, right?
Right. Class.
To me, it should be on a higher level. Like when I see Like if like all orange to me, I see that's college, that's high school. Like that's why I generally don't dig monochromatic looks other than all white or all black, because I see them and to me it screams lower level.
Like Penn State, you and Nick Kendall were arguing about that on Twitter. At least I saw something about that, and I was like, "Oh, Nick Kendall."
He loves Penn State. I'm like, but that's an example of too far in the other direction because there's nothing to it. Like now, that's their identity as a program. They're never going to change that.
Well,
but
their identity is something else, but we won't get into that.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I look at that and I'm like, you look like you're going out for practice. That's not a game uniform. It's a practice uniform.
Jersey.
Yeah, come on. Put what are you wearing on game day? This is it. What?
Terrible.
I mean, it was a huge deal. I remember it was a huge deal several years ago when they put the names on the jerseys. I mean, actually, that's one thing I would change about the Broncos practice jerseys. I put the names on them, even though I know that's more work for the equipment staff.
I'd have a larger Ford logo just because I'm a Ford guy. I want to say Happy Veterans Day.
Yes.
That's a military commitment from Starbucks. Yeah, there we go. So
nice.
Got a lot of family in the military. Got a lot of family ex-military. Like I love them. I love them to death because they're much braver than you or I, Mace. Like I think about what they do and what they go through, and I hear some stories, and I'm like, oh my God, I could never do that. Like, thank you for doing that because we're a couple of chuckleheads that get to talk about football. You know what I mean? Like we get to live, and it doesn't mean, you know, for people like, oh, we're not perfect. Yeah. We're working on it though. And we got people to defend our freedoms, and those people are special. And I appreciate them every day.
Yep. I mean, and all of those. I mean, my dad served. My dad served in Korea, and then in Germany and England during the Cold War. He was actually stationed at a listening post. Like he was working with NSA. They're all sorts of military roles, but all of it is about ultimately about defending the freedoms that we hold dear in this country. And so, for giving up part of your lives for that. Thank you. It's very appreciated, and it's your day, you know. So, for those who are out there that are veterans, thank you.
He's Andrew Mason. I'm Cecil Lammey. Orange and blue today. Give me that Go Broncos! And as always, we hope and wish that you have a great weekend. As always, I ask that you be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and as always, stay frosty.